Chapter 981 Open the door and release the flowers. Hua rushed directly at Baldia from the front. Its black and gold armor-like hair, coupled with the battle armor that Liu Karen had tailor-made for it, gave it extremely amazing destructive power. In terms of close combat, Hua and Liang Yu were at an even level. But in terms of strength and destructive power alone, Hua, as a giant beast, definitely surpassed Liang Yu. Zhang Yi disappeared into the mirror world, and Hua took over to fight Baldia. Baldia was in a dilemma at this time. He was still under the drug state at this time, and was not afraid of a beast like Hua. However, he had to be on guard against Zhang Yi in the dark at all times, so he could not use his full strength. After the wolves were wiped out, he could no longer use the relocation to avoid it. Helplessly, he could only raise the scarlet dagger in his hand. Hua let out a loud roar and rushed straight to Baldia's face. Its sharp claws and spikes were full of cold, murderous intent. It rushed over, wrapped in an endless storm, like a giant chariot. Baldia blocked the dagger in front of him. Facing the galloping Hua, he planted his legs firmly on the ground, and then saw the right moment to slash with a knife. With just one knife, the armor on Hua's body was cut, and silver-white metal fragments flew everywhere, and even dozens of its black and hard hairs were cut off. Baldia narrowly avoided Hua's claws. But this attack consumed too much of his strength. So when he was retracting his move, which was when his strength was the weakest, Zhang Yi rushed out from midair again. The horizontal knife burning with the black flame of the void was aimed at his neck and chopped down directly. Baldia's pupils were more and more bloodshot, and he had no time to turn around. But at the moment when the horizontal knife fell, his left hand picked up the compound bow to block the position behind his back. The holy judge chopped at the bow of the compound bow, and the black void power burst out violently. The violent black flame of the void was blocked by Baldia's supernatural power and launched a fierce confrontation with him. A black void force, like a sharp sword, actually went upstream and rushed into the sky. However, Baldia was not prepared for this attack. The ground under his feet was instantly broken, and the whole person was smashed into the deep ground. At the Columbia Navy Command Center, the red alarm sounded urgently. According to the conclusion deduced by the intelligence personnel, Baldia can no longer hold on. The simulation results given by the computer show that Euler's chance of winning is less than 1 in 100 million. The probability of escape is 1 in 36 million, and the probability of survival is only 1 in 10 million. General Horn clenched his fists, unable to accept such a result.
No.
Baldia can't be in trouble. It takes too many resources for our fleet to train a top alien. His death is more unacceptable than the loss of a mixed fleet. In a hurry, General Horn even forgot the principle of calling by code name when working.
Because he was really panicked.
Is there anyone nearby who can go over to support? Is there anyone? General Horn asked angrily. The intelligence officer gave the result. There are no aliens in Jinfeng City that can change the situation. The closest alien team is the Scylla team, but their strength... General Horn's heart sank completely, and even Catalyze, who was watching the battle, raised his eyebrows. Baldia's ability is still quite useful, especially when carrying out assassination missions. However, Catalyze only felt a little regretful about the fact that he might be defeated and killed. On the battlefield, Zhang Yi had clearly noticed that Baldia's drug effect was fading rapidly. Because he was eager to kill Zhang Yi, he overdrew his strength too quickly, causing the weak period to come early. I can't delay any longer, otherwise when their support comes, he might be alive. Zhang Yi made a quick decision in his heart. Hua, come on. Hua's defense is definitely the strongest among all the beings around Zhang Yi. Although Zhang Yi is a cat lover, it is the safest way to let it take the lead at this time. Hua roared, and his body quickly rolled into a ball, and then rolled. Chariot, this is one of its most unsolvable abilities. Hua was like a huge iron ball with spikes, crashing towards Baldia. Zhang Yi held a knife in one hand and a gun in the other, and began to use the 12-layer mirror world to launch long-range attacks on Baldia. As a Navy SEAL, Baldia's melee strength is very strong. When facing a beast like Hua, he can handle it with ease. Judging from the proportion of the body, Hua is dozens of times larger than him, and this visual impact is incredible. However, just like this, it is completely unable to cope with the situation on the battlefield. Because there is another Zhang Yi, who is attacking him remotely in a form that cannot be determined. In the 12-layer mirror world, the 12-dimensional doors allow Zhang Yi to travel in any direction on the battlefield. And the positions of these 12 doors can be changed. It looks like 12 doors, but in fact there are countless directions position. This made Baldia have no idea where the next attack would come from. What made him most desperate was that his plan to concentrate his strength to kill an opponent was completely thwarted. He did not expect that Zhang Yi would be followed by a high-level Delta-level beast. At first, the Black Cat Demon was not very noticeable. But it was not until it joined the battle that Baldia suffered. Its physical quality was very high, and it had the natural hunting skills of cats, making it extremely difficult to deal with. So, from the beginning, you have been hiding your strength. Baldia finally realized this at this moment. He thought he was a hunter and regarded the other party as prey. But the other party was the same. Zhang Yi deliberately showed weakness just to avoid disturbing him, the self-righteous hunter. Because once Zhang Yi showed enough strength early, Baldia in the distance would probably give up the hunting action, or choose to summon teammates to hunt together. In the end, he became the one who joined the game. Meow. Huahua's attack became more and more fierce. It stared at the enemy in front of it, its eyes full of heat, because this was a very high-level alien. If it could kill him, it would obtain the most delicious original power since the landing operation. Ouch! Baldia finally couldn't bear the infantry and tank coordination of Zhang Yi and Hua. He howled to the sky and actually made a wolf-like cry. Then, in the eyes of Zhang Yi and Hua, he actually turned into a blood-red giant wolf more than 2 meters tall. But after the transformation, he did not choose to fight Hua and Zhang Yi, but turned around, got on all fours, and ran away desperately. Chapter 982, He is so powerful. Chains of Hell member, God of Hunting Euler, Vito Bardias. Ability, Hunting Wolves. He has the ability to control a pack of wolves, and he can also transform himself into a giant wolf. But this ability of his is rarely seen on weekdays. After transforming into a giant wolf, he will have stronger physical strength, especially his speed and endurance will be explosively improved. When he uses this ability, he is either chasing or trying to escape. At this time, he has already felt the weakness of his physical condition. If he continues to fight, he will definitely die, so he must escape. But after seeing this scene, a smile suddenly appeared at the corner of Zhang Yi's mouth. You want to escape in front of me? Are you crazy? Hua, chase. Zhang Yi gave an order, and he had already started the space shuttle to chase forward. Huahua's speed was slower, but he was also chasing Bardia. After a few moments, Zhang Yi came to the sky above Bardia. He raised his hand, and 10-dimensional doors appeared around Bardia. This was not the first time that Baldia had seen this ability. He keenly sensed the existence of the dimensional gate from the slight fluctuations in the air. He immediately turned around and fled, but this brief hesitation was enough for Hua to catch up. Until this moment, Zhang Yi did not choose to actively approach him to fight. Baldia was too fast, and it was difficult for Zhang Yi's attack to hit him. If he approached rashly, he would most likely be killed by Baldia, who was at low health. So the best way was to let Hua hold him back. Sure enough, Hua lived up to expectations and rushed directly over, pounced on Baldia's back, and bit his neck. Cats are better than dogs in hunting and reaction speed. Baldia felt pain and tried hard to throw Hua off. But the moment Hua gained was enough. Zhang Yi took out the thunderbolt and aimed at Baldia's heart without even aiming. His ability was amplified to the maximum by him, and a layer of dark flames appeared on the surface of the thunderbolt. Go to hell! Laeli roared silently, and a bullet instantly passed through the space and shot into Baldia's body while he struggled desperately. The bullets used by Zhang Yi were all poisoned, and they would be poisoned quickly if they were touched. The strength of the toxin was not too high, only 0.1 milligrams could kill a whale. Even Zhang Yi had to wear gloves carefully before using it and hold the antidote in his mouth before loading. After Baldia was shot, although he tried his best to avoid the heart, he still quickly lost the ability to move. The situation in the movie where someone can still struggle and fight after being shot in the chest does not exist. The poison quickly spread throughout his body. Baldia's body quickly lost strength and was directly pressed to the ground by Hua. The last seen at the Colombian Navy Temporary Command Center was that the huge black cat cut off Baldia's head with one claw. No! General Horn looked at the scene in front of him and roared in anger. F***K. F***K. Seeing Baldia's death with his own eyes made him extremely angry. The third member of Hell's Chain, the alien that the Ocean Fleet spent a lot of effort to cultivate, was actually killed by the aliens in the Jiangnan district? He absolutely could not accept this result. Cardiles looked at the angry Horn, but his expression was a little playful. He didn't seem to be sad about the death of his companion. Just looking at Zhang Yi's appearance in the remaining image made him curious. What an interesting guy. He said so with his chin in his hand. The image of Zhang Yi in his heart became more three-dimensional. Zhang Yi picked up Baldia's head and said to Hua, his body is no longer edible. It's all toxins. It can only be destroyed. Hua was a little disappointed. The flesh and blood of a high-level alien is a perfect blood food for it. Zhang Yi took a video of Baldia's head and sent it to the command center. I killed an alien, a member of Hell's Chain. It was just a short video of a few seconds, and there was nothing else. However, he didn't know how much of a shock he had brought to the people in the command center. When the command center received the video from Zhang Yi, the entire command center exploded. Situ Xian and others didn't know much about the Hell Chains. They only knew that Zhang Yi had killed another alien from the joint forces. But when Li Tianyang and others saw Baldia's head, they were instantly stunned and turned into fools. They opened their eyes wide. Their brains were a little blank, and they couldn't believe that what they saw was real. This couldn't be. Li Tianyang was a little dry in the mouth, hesitating for a long time, and then he raised a finger, pointed at the screen, and said to the officers next to him, "Why do I think he looks a bit like Euler from the Hell Chains?" The staff compared the head and face in the image. The result was soon obtained. He was also surprised and shocked, and said with some stuttering, "Yes, he is indeed the member of Hell's Chain." Li Tianyang was dumbfounded and stood there stupidly. Such a scene made Situ Xian and other officers in the Jiangnan region look at each other in bewilderment. They also roughly guessed that Zhang Yi must have killed a very extraordinary person. An officer in the Jiangnan region couldn't help asking, "Is this Euler very strong?" "Very strong." The officer in the East China Sea region next to him responded to him in an exaggerated tone. "He is the third person in the Hell's Chain. The ability index is as high as 9,800 points. When he mentioned Euler's name, he was actually a little nervous and took several deep breaths. When we confronted each other at sea, he killed 5 of our fleet captains alone, equivalent to the 5 aliens at the level of your investigation team leader." Situ Xian and others only realized at this time how powerful the person Zhang Yi killed was. Apart from anything else, the 9,800 point ability index alone is enough to dominate the entire Jiangnan region. And in the Colombian Navy, he is also a first-class transcendental strongman. I'm afraid his strength is not much weaker than the previous Billy the Kid. And such a person was killed by Zhang Yi? Situ Xian was ecstatic. This time, who dares to say that their Jiangnan region is weak? Even Zhang Yi is also a 9,800 point alien. But everyone knows that Zhang Yi's ability code is absolute defense. This is an extremely conservative, defense-oriented alien. How did he kill Euler, who also has 9,800 points? Chapter 983 Glorious Sacrifice. Situ Xian was puzzled. He felt that neither he nor the entire Blizzard City had ever really understood Zhang Yi. Whenever they thought they understood Zhang Yi, they would be quickly slapped in the face. However, this did not affect the officers of the Jiangnan region, who could all hold their heads high and face the officers of the East China Sea region with pride. The officers of the East China Sea region also restrained their attitudes at this time. After all, even the captain of the fleet of the East China Sea region would have a hard fight against a strong man of Euler's level. Chaos killed Euler, and this person alone is worth 5 billion points. Li Tianyang said in a deep voice. Situ Xian nodded. This number of points was not exaggerated, even if they were both 9,000 plus aliens. Euler's combat power was equivalent to 10 captains of about 9,300 points. He was a terrifying strong man who was close to the level of Ypsilon. But Li Tianyang took a deep breath and said sternly, "Such an important battle. Why didn't Chaos communicate with the headquarters?" He glanced at Situ Xian next to him and said coldly, "He doesn't believe us." "Minister Situ, what do you think?" Situ Xian knew that Li Tianyang was deliberately looking for trouble again. To put it bluntly, he was still sad and didn't want to see the Jiangnan district achieve such brilliant results on the battlefield, overshadowing the East China Sea district. Situ Xian put his hands behind his back and said with a smile, "The situation on the battlefield changes rapidly. How can everything go as one wishes?" "Minister Li, the opponent is the third person in the Helllock.
You should also know how difficult this battle is.
If we win, isn't it the best news for us?" Li Tianyang snorted coldly, and his dissatisfaction was reflected on his face. This was not because of personal grudges. He was just worried that Zhang Yi would show too much tyranny and would eventually intervene to snatch the source of God. Originally, he didn't care about the strength of the Jiangnan district's aliens. They had never considered that they would compete with the aliens in the East China Sea for the source of the gods. However, Zhang Yi could actually kill Baldia now. How strong is he? Perhaps he has already reached the top level of the entire Star Island. Even the Azure Dragon, White Tiger, and Black Tortoise among the Four Spirits, or Billy the Kid from Colombia, could not suppress him. "Connect me to Chaos," Li Tianyang shouted in a deep voice. The staff over there immediately began to connect with Zhang Yi on the phone. Black Tortoise was sipping Coke next to him, watching all this with a look of excitement. Chaos, that guy, might really step into the threshold of Ypsilon. Black Tortoise did not agree with this, because the path to promotion is very tortuous. And even if Zhang Yi is promoted, it is impossible for him to pose a threat to his 15,000 point ability index. The huge gap in strength will not narrow with the increase in level, but will only widen. On Zhang Yi's side, after killing Baldia, he quickly collected all the things on him, including his very good dagger and compound bow. The other things he collected were also good. Firearms, ammunition, and medicines were all top-notch supplies from the Colombian Navy. Colombia's technology and medicine were world-class. Take these things back and give them to Zhou Kuer and Lu Kuran to study. There will be a chance to upgrade Zhang Yi's current equipment. At this time, a call request from the command center came through the communication device. Zhang Yi sneered, wondering what those jealous dogs were going to do. He answered the call. "Hello, this is Chaos." The images of Li Tianyang, Situ Xian, and others appeared on the mask. Li Tianyang's face was still so old-fashioned and annoying. He pretended to praise Zhang Yi's contribution. But later, he changed the subject and began to criticize Zhang Yi's approach. "Hun Dun, you are too extreme. When a battle breaks out on the battlefield, just in case, you should keep your communication on all the time. This way, our command center can also provide you with battlefield analysis assistance. We can also collect information about the enemy as soon as possible. I hope you won't be so eccentric in the future, understands?" Zhang Yi laughed. "Oh, then are you going to collect my information as well?" This sentence made everyone in the command center look at each other in bewilderment, and they couldn't even believe their ears. They are all soldiers, and in their philosophy, soldiers should obey orders as their first duty. No rebuttal is allowed, just answer, "Yes, and it's right." Zhang Yi didn't wait for Li Tianyang to speak, and said directly, "Sorry, I'm not a soldier, so you don't need to mention those messy things to me. I have killed many powerful aliens in the joint forces, and the credit is here. You are so capable. Why don't you come down and show me yourself?" Don't always talk without any pain in your waist. Li Tianyang's eyes were full of murderous intent. "Hun done," he roared, pointing at Zhang Yi and scolded. "This is a military mission. You are disobeying orders on the battlefield, and you are right." Zhang Yi sneered. "Are you not convinced? Come and bite me." After that, he directly cut off the contact with the command center. Anyway, he had collected everything he needed last time, and he knew that Li Tianyang would deliberately pick a fight with him later. So, he didn't plan to go back at all. He and the Jiangnan district are in a cooperative relationship, and Zhu Zheng has to be polite to him. How could he be angry with Li Tianyang, a mere operations minister? As for other issues, let Situ Xian talk about them. The two major regions now need Zhang Yi's combat power, not Zhang Yi needs them. Li Tianyang didn't dare to do anything to Zhang Yi except to pretend to be powerful and bark a few times. After all, they still have the biggest enemy at the moment, the joint force led by the Colombian Navy. At the command center, Li Tianyang was furious. Rebellion, rebellion. He actually dared to ignore my orders. Is he going to defect? Situ Xian heard this, and his voice became a little cold. "Minister Li, be careful with your words. Don't forget what time it is now. If chaos is really forced to defect by you, can you bear the responsibility?" This is the first time that Li Tianyang has seen Situ Xian show such a tough attitude. He came to his senses, and he felt a little regretful, and even his back felt a little cold. Zhang Yi now has the strength to kill Baldia, and he can be called the most powerful group of fighters on Qingdao. In addition, his special space ability can ruthlessly hunt down all aliens on the battlefield. What will be the consequences if he joins the joint forces? Li Tianyang swallowed his saliva, snorted coldly, and said, "This is not a reason for you to protect him. For a soldier, disobeying orders is the biggest fault. Even if we let him die, it is a glorious sacrifice for the region." Chapter 984. All eyes are on me. Hearing Li Tianyang's words, Situ Xian smiled. It's a pity that he is not a soldier. "Minister Li, our Jiangnan district is not your Donghai, and we are more business-oriented. The relationship between chaos and the district is more like cooperation, not subordination. So, please don't judge him by your district's ideas." Situ Xian slowly put away the smile on his face. "What's more, it's not your turn to deal with the aliens in my Jiangnan district." Li Tianyang's face was very ugly, and the officers of the Donghai district present also looked aggrieved. Now Zhang Yi has made successive military exploits on the battlefield and killed many powerful aliens. This great achievement is in front of them, and they cannot deny it. On the battlefield, whoever has the ability will be powerful. Their Donghai district has not achieved any results yet, and it is difficult to speak with their chests and heads held high. However, all this can't be blamed on the fleet captains of the Donghai district. After landing on the island, the others all went to the source of the gods. The closer to the foggy valley, the more dangerous it is. Everyone is thinking about moving forward carefully and grabbing the source of God first. No one is like Zhang Yi, who acts ostentatiously and hunts down aliens from the joint forces. But what makes people angry is that Zhang Yi's behavior is so arrogant, and he succeeded. Where can you find justice? Although the people in the East China Sea region are depressed, overall, their mood is not too bad. At least Zhang Yi is an alien from Huashu country, and he killed 2 members of the Hell Chain. From the perspective of family and country, it is a good thing. However, the Colombian Navy is now in a complete rage. Horn clenched his fists, his face was scary. In less than 5 days, both members of the Hell Chain were killed. And the perpetrator was the same person. What a scary guy. His hunting methods are more powerful than Euler's. From the current situation, unless Billy takes action himself, others will die if they meet him. But Cluty hurriedly reminded him, "General, Billy has the most important task, which is to seize the source of God. We have already lost Euler and suffered a great loss. We can't let Billy go again." There was a sentence he didn't say. Although Billy's strength is second only to catalyze among the Hell Chains. But if he really encounters the current chaos, he may not be sure of winning. Horn took a deep breath through his nose and quickly calmed himself down.
Clutty's words were right. Billy has the most important task.
Although they have suffered heavy losses at the moment, as long as they can get the source of God and let Billy successfully break through to the realm of Ipsilon, then, even if all other members of the entire Hell chain die in battle, it will be worth it. Let that stupid guy continue his disgusting hunting plan. Horn sneered. He doesn't know that becoming an Ipsilon-level alien is not that easy. If it can be achieved through simple hunting and co-eating, there would be a lot of Ipsilons in this world. In the field of genetic engineering, Columbia has the most advanced technology in the world. They know better than anyone what the essential difference between Delta and Ipsilon is. Even if he has the potential of Ipsilon, the final benefit will only get smaller and smaller by simply devouring the alien essence. And if a large amount of alien essence is devoured in a short period of time, the absorption efficiency will be greatly reduced. Only the source of God is the most reliable way to be promoted. Horn narrowed his eyes and sighed. After all, that is the purest life energy. Member of Hell's Chain, Billy the Kid. He is the most valued member of Hell's Chain, and even in the eyes of many senior executives, he has more growth potential than Cartile. Because he is also an alien born with the potential of Ipsilon. This can be seen from his superior growth rate when he was being trained. Once, the Navy also tried to feed him a large amount of inhuman essence to help him quickly break through to the Ipsilon level. But when his ability index broke through 9,900 points, the speed suddenly dropped drastically. No matter how he absorbed, his ability growth rate was extremely slow. Although it was not stagnant, it was really impossible to break through. After research by the Scientific Research Department, it was finally discovered that there were barriers to the Inhuman's ability to use co-eating. It was not practical to get Ipsilon by piling up. Until later, the emergence of the substance called the Source of God directly broke through that barrier. Horn took a deep breath. Let him continue to hunt. Anyway, he can't reach Ipsilon, so he won't be a real threat. And during the time he hunted, it was enough for Billy the Kid to get a chance to seize the Source of God. Thinking of this, he ordered Clutty, notify all the allies of the joint forces that we will increase the bounty on Chaos to 5 billion, dead or alive. After killing him, we will not need his essence, so they can take it themselves. 5 billion Golem. The subscore points are equivalent to more than 35 billion Huashu points. This is equivalent to the cost of building an aircraft carrier. It can be seen how big a threat Zhang Yi is to Horn. Clutty immediately understood. You mean to let the allies surround and kill Hun Dun and prevent him from joining the main battlefield to seize the Source of Gods? Horn nodded. Yes, that's exactly what I think. No matter how strong he is, as long as he doesn't compete with us for the Source of God, we will lose a very strong opponent. As for those guys in the East China Sea region, Horn showed a confident smile at the corner of his mouth. We are all old opponents, and I know their foundation very well. Unless Xuanwu comes out in person, Billy will not lose to them. What's more, we still have a trump card. A dark look flashed in Horn's eyes, which made people shudder. Zhang Yi sighed. After absorbing the essence of Baldia, they found that the improvement of their superpowers was not as terrifying as they had imagined, let alone a direct breakthrough to the realm of Ipsilon. Huahua sat next to Zhang Yi, looking puzzled. Zhang Yi smiled disapprovingly and said, all this is just expected. It's not that easy to reach the realm of Ipsilon. As your strength increases, the conversion rate of absorption decreases. But there is still progress. It doesn't matter. Zhang Yi stroked Huahua and Leilei's heads with a smile. There are many powerful aliens on this island. We just need to hunt more of them. Even if you can't use them for the time being, you can keep them and bring them back for others. A sharp light flashed in Zhang Yi's narrowed eyes. This is a perfect hunting ground. If you miss this opportunity, you don't know when so many prey will appear at the same time. Chapter 985. Storms Everywhere. Jiangnan District Headquarters. Blizzard City. Zhu Zheng was holding a communicator in his hand, talking to Situ Xian, the deputy director of the operations department at the front. After hearing Situ Xian's report, Zhu Zheng's face was also somewhat moved. Oh? Is Hun Dun's performance so exaggerated? Even the third person of Hell's chain was killed by him. There was joy and a hint of loss in his expression. Joy, because the overall strength of the Jiangnan district will be taken to a higher level because of Zhang Yi's existence. Melancholy, because Zhang Yi's relationship with him is still ambiguous. Since being betrayed by Gao Changkong, Zhu Zheng's inner defense has become more serious, and he will not easily trust anyone. But soon, he sorted out his expression and said to Situ Xian with a smile, "This is a good thing. Tell Han Dun that the hope of Jiangnan district rests on him. Let him do a good job, but give priority to protecting his own safety. Leave the direct confrontation to the East China Sea district." Zhu Zheng's words sounded very nice, but he also knew that if he didn't say so, Zhang Yi would definitely do so. After ending the call, he looked at an open space in front of him. His eyes became murderous. In the snow, a row of prisoners knelt on the cold ground, their bodies tied tightly. A group of executioners pointed rifles at them. "Is it time for the execution?" Zhu Zheng turned his head and looked at Lan Xinqing, the secretary next to him. Lan Xinqing glanced at his watch, bowed his head and said to Zhu Zheng, "It's time." Zhu Zheng nodded. "Then execute." Lan Xinqing stepped forward in black military boots. He looked coldly at the group of prisoners in front of him and shouted, "You hateful criminals! Blizzard City has saved you from the land of suffering and given you food and warm shelter. And you are not grateful, but actually intend to rebel. Your crime is unforgivable. Before you die, do you have anything else to say?" Even in the end of the world, Blizzard City is very strict about things like execution, because any unfair killing may cause unrest among people. What Zhu Zheng is most worried about is the crisis of trust in Blizzard City. When the criminals kneeling on the ground heard these words, some of them looked sad and burst into tears. But some of them looked up to the sky and laughed, their faces full of disdain. A big man with a beard cursed, "Bah! Why are you pretending to be a good person? We lived well outside, and solved our own food and clothing. In the end, we believed your lies and entered this cage." He gritted his teeth and stared at Lan Xinqing and Zhu Zheng, two well-dressed big men. "After coming here, you treated us like pigs and dogs. You made us do the most menial jobs. If I had known this would happen, I shouldn't have believed your lies." Lan Xinqing sneered when he heard this. He casually adjusted the deerskin gloves on his hands and said lightly, "Don't always think about what Blizzard City can give you, but think about what you can do for Blizzard City first. You don't know how to be grateful, but instead you gather together to make trouble. You deserve what you have today." The bearded man spat fiercely. "We just gathered together to fight for our rights as human beings. We didn't even think about rebellion, but you arrested people and wanted to execute us. Forget it. You can always find excuses to accuse us. It's our fault that we were blind at the beginning." Lan Xinqing smiled contemptuously and said to the executioners around him, "Execute." With a burst of dense gunfire, the row of prisoners were soon shot into sieves. However, there were also a few people who did not die. They turned out to be several enhanced aliens with extremely strong physical fitness. They were safe and sound even if they resisted bullets. But Lan Xinqing seemed to have been prepared. This batch of prisoners were all aliens. Soon, the executioners replaced the bullets with new ones, including the origin bullets and large armor-piercing bullets that were specially designed to restrain the aliens. Soon, the dozen prisoners turned into cold corpses. Lan Xinqing walked to Zhu Zheng's side and raised his hand to salute. "Zhu Shuai, the execution is over." Zhu Zheng glanced at him. "Including this batch, how many people have been executed?" Lan Xinqing said, "It's already the 216th person. The era of great mutation has arrived. Those who survived are elites, and the mutation rate is also very high." Zhu Zheng nodded. "It's almost there. It's almost there. Our plan will continue to be implemented, but it's not enough now. There's still a little short." He raised his head. His eyes seemed to penetrate the thick clouds and saw the Star Island in the distant ocean. Compared to taking risks to fight for the source of the gods, this method is simpler and more effective. And all we need to do is sacrifice a few people. The Kakong Mountains, located in the northwest of the Barada region, have become huge snow mountains because of a whole year of snowfall. On the empty snowfield, dozens of corpses were lying on the ground in all directions, and the blood had coagulated into ice. Most of them wore gray-white combat uniforms, but a few of them were dressed strangely, especially with long scarves wrapped around their heads. This is the traditional costume of Barada, and these people are all masters of the Barada area. Just looking at the current situation, you can tell that they have just experienced a bloody and cruel battle. However, there are still 3 people standing on the battlefield. A monk wearing a Barada monk robe, with a solemn appearance and blood on his body, looks sacred and weird. A young man wearing combat uniform and holding a fist sword, with sharp eyes, fair skin, but a bit uneven breath. There is another person holding a golden sword, with messy hair, who looks the calmest. The cold ice wind blew through his long hair, revealing a resolute face. If Zhang Yi appeared here, he would definitely shout out his name and surprise Gao Changkong. Gao Changkong glanced at the 2 people in the distance. Both the young nobles and the monks were alert to the other 2. There are only 3 of us left. Do you want to continue? Gao Changkong said with a smile. Compared with him, the state of the other 2 is obviously worse. The monk Hamaraj used the Vajra in his hand to poke the snow hard. I didn't expect that in the end. It was you, a foreigner, who survived. The young noble in combat uniform also looked at Gao Changkong coldly. The gods will not bless you, and my Barada kingdom cannot accept you getting the highest honor. Gao Changkong cleared his throat and said with a smile, I have said many times that I am a descendant of Barada kingdom who is stranded abroad. My name is Samir Khan. As for whether the 3-phase gods will bless me and let me get the supreme glory, your words don't count. He slowly raised the golden holy sword in his hand. You have to ask this. Chapter 980, 6 Azure Dragon. The news of Baldia's death quickly spread throughout the entire Star Island. If the death of Hemitboon just surprised everyone, then Baldia's death was like a bolt from the blue. The entire Columbia Navy's top brass could not accept it, because Baldia's reputation was too great. A top-level psychic with an ability index of 9,800 points. No matter which force in the world, he is a core combat force. Such a person, even if it cannot be said to be invincible on Star Island. But it is absolutely extremely difficult to kill him. In the case that the Epsilon-level psychic does not take action, it is even difficult to imagine how it can be done. General Horn did not hide the truth, because it is extremely dangerous to do so on the battlefield. The members of the Hell Chain all received this information. General Horn said into the microphone, Listen, there is a guy who is a bit tricky on the island. He has killed Euler, but there is nothing to be afraid of. In terms of overall strength, we still have an absolute advantage. Billy the Kid, Yassine Canero took a deep breath after hearing the news of Baldia's death. The death of the 3rd position under him would also give him a feeling of grief. He interrupted Horn's chicken soup speech impatiently. Okay, now I want to know how much information you have about that guy. You can't let Euler die in vain, right? Any sacrifice is valuable. Baldia's death did bring Columbia a lot of information about Zhang Yi. It can even be said that it is close to all the information. After all, in a battle with an alien of Baldia's level, there is no possibility of retaining strength. And this information will guide the rest of the members of the Hell Chain to give a good response when they encounter Zhang Yi, especially Canero. When the deputy captain of the Hell Chain has the information about the opponent's ability, his ability can easily kill the opponent. Horn coughed to ease the embarrassment of being contradicted by his subordinates. The information will be delivered to you soon. Please be careful in the next mission. His brows suddenly frowned, and there was a hint of murderous intent in his eyes. If things are out of control, I may have to send out Soul Loser. As soon as the name was mentioned, the expressions of all the members of Hell's Chain changed suddenly. Some showed fear, some had a look of pain, and some closed their eyes tightly, and when they opened them again, their eyes were full of compassion. Carnero moved his lips and whispered, If that is the case, I will spare no effort to avoid this ending. General Horn then issued a huge reward for Zhang Yi to other members of the Joint Force. He did not tell them that Zhang Yi killed Baldia, but only told them Zhang Yi's ability and asked them to try their best to intercept and kill Zhang Yi. In this way, the members of Hell's chain would delay enough time. However, the reward of up to 5 billion was enough to make others suspicious. In the mist, a woman who looked like a shrine maiden, with a princess cut and skin colder than ice and whiter than snow, whispered, "Ordinary captains only have a bounty of a few 100 million points, but this chaos is as high as 5 billion. He is definitely a top-notch strongman in Huashu country and should not be easily provoked. This person is a top alien from Izumo, one of the 2 major organizations in Japan. The most powerful alien organization in Izumo is an organization called God Pillar. The name of the shrine maiden is Yaqianju, codenamed Tsukuyumi. After she received the information from the Columbia Command Center, her eyes flickered with an uncertain light. Such a high value seems to be more cost-effective than fighting for the source of God. It's not that they don't like the source of God, but with the Columbia Navy, they will definitely not be able to keep it even if they get it. It's better to settle for the second best and gain other benefits. Next to Yaqianju, a young man with slightly long hair, no helmet, but wearing a black metal armor showed a distrustful expression. Is the Colombian Navy going to use us as cannon fodder? They can offer such a huge bounty, so they must be an enemy that is very difficult to provoke. Tsukuyumi, you are not stupid enough to die for them, are you? The second-in-command of the Gaijin Pillar organization, the code name of the godhood, Kagutsuchi, the original destiny of the heavenly way and heavenly time. Yachikari's cold red lips slightly curled up, and the edges of her narrow and long phoenix eyes were smoky black, giving people a sense of evil and weirdness. Her red and white shrine maiden costume was decorated with golden lace, and there seemed to be something strange hidden in the middle of the wide sleeves, which was always squirming. Kagutsuchi, remember, it's the lower to conquer the higher. Whether it's Huashu Kingdom or Columbia, they are both huge stones that we will step on to ascend to the throne in the future. The sun is bright. May God bless Yamato. In this chaotic era, heroes emerge, and Japan may take this opportunity to stand on top of the world. She smiled evilly. Let's start from this star island. Let them see the power of Japan. Everyone on the island has their own thoughts. For the aliens in the 2 regions, Zhang Yi's success did give them some encouragement. However, Zhang Yi himself was not very happy. He knew that after killing 2 members of Hellchain, he would become the target that the joint forces wanted to eliminate the most. At this time, he could no longer show off. He also needed some time to recover the large amount of his lost superpowers. After all, the battle with Baldia was not so easy for him. Let's go. Let's wait quietly for the development of the situation. I have muddied the water, and they should start fighting. Let's wait quietly. Zhang Yi took Huahua and Lele and left Jinfeng City and came to Yuming City in the marginal area. Then he found a hidden basement and used the 2 world not to completely isolate himself, Huahua and Lele, from the outside world. After that, he ate a lot of food prepared by Yang Xia for him and began to lurk in secret. Arana City around the Fog Valley. In the East China Sea region, Qinglong stood on the snow with a gray-green backpack on his back. A group of soldiers from the reconnaissance unit in front of him reported the situation ahead to him. Captain Qinglong, we can no longer move forward after arriving here. The edge of the Fog Valley is ahead, and the concentration of the poisonous miasma exceeds the standard. With our safety protection equipment, we can't go deep into it. The captain of the reconnaissance team looked apologetic, and the depths of his eyes revealed a desire for life. At the same time, there was a deep sense of uneasiness. As a reconnaissance team, this operation itself is extremely dangerous. Not only is there poisonous miasma and dangerous creatures on the island, but there is also pressure from their supervisory team. If Qinglong gives the order, even if they know it means death, they must continue to move forward. Chapter 987 Kim Heechul. Qinglong looked at the tense reconnaissance troops in front of him, smiled and shrugged. No need to be like this. You have done a good job. Of the many reconnaissance troops sent out at the beginning, only you found the location of the Fog Valley first. This is a great achievement. You can go back now, and the next thing, he casually put his hands in the tactical pockets of his combat uniform, revealing his thumbs, then leave it to us. Hearing this, the reconnaissance captain breathed a sigh of relief. Yes. At this point, he said again, by the way, Captain Qinglong, there is another piece of information, but it's just my personal feeling. I want to report it to you. Qinglong raised his eyebrows slightly. Oh, what's the situation? The words of the reconnaissance commander were very strange. They would not shoot without a purpose, and usually would not tell their superiors the intelligence they speculated if they were not sure. The reconnaissance commander said, when approaching the edge of the fog valley, as the concentration of the poisonous miasma increased, I seemed to feel a strange energy. It was this sentence that made Qinglong slowly take his hands out of his pockets, and his eyes began to become sharp. The source of God. Wugu, the place where the source of God was discovered. If there is any special energy fluctuation, it is very likely that that thing has appeared. The chief of the reconnaissance team hurriedly said, I can't determine its nature, but there seems to be an instinctive reaction in my body. It's very wonderful. I can't express it in words, and I haven't seen it with my own eyes. Qinglong knew very well what it was. There are also fragments of the source of God in the East China Sea district. It is an ore contaminated with the breath of the source of God, which was given to Li Guangxiao by the Shengjing district. Before setting off, they had all come into contact with it just to get familiar with that breath. Qinglong said in a deep voice, Tell me, where did you sense it from? The chief of the reconnaissance team immediately came over and pointed out the direction for Qinglong with military gestures. 2 o'clock direction. About 7 kilometers. Qinglong nodded, I know. Okay, you guys leave this area quickly. The reconnaissance team left here, and their mission was over. They were also one of the few reconnaissance teams that survived during this operation. After they left, Qinglong immediately opened the private channel and contacted the people in the East China Sea district. That's right. The reason why he didn't contact the command center directly was because that way the people in Jiangnan district would also receive the information. Soon, Qinglong contacted the intelligence personnel in Donghai district. I'm close to the fog valley. Next, I will go deep into it to find the location of the source of God. At present, according to the report of the reconnaissance team, a suspicious smell has been found. I will go to investigate and confirm the situation before reporting to the headquarters. Over. After the report, Qinglong walked towards that direction with a leisurely pace. His footsteps were light, and the rustling sound on the snow looked like walking in the snow, nothing special. But along the way, his attention was kept at the highest level, and he would not miss any movement around him. Not long after, he came to the area mentioned by the reconnaissance team. Sure enough, he also felt the throbbing that seemed to come from the soul. The equipment system of the combat uniform received a special audio signal and transmitted it to his ears. It was a crisp and pleasant laugh like a children's song, innocent like the swaying of a silver bell. The 5 fingers of Qinglong's right hand shook, and each finger was like a bamboo joint, with distinct finger bones. Then, he pulled out a broad-backed broadsword about 1 meter long from under the tactical backpack on his back. Have you found it? Qinglong narrowed his eyes slightly, with a seemingly relaxed smile on his lips, and walked into the deeper poisonous miasma. The visibility here is even lower, and the visible range is no more than 3 meters. Moreover, the miasma has turned into a dark yellow color that makes people feel a little disgusted, as if sulfur gas is leaking. Qinglong followed his feelings and walked to that area step by step. Suddenly, light shone through the miasma in front of him. His heavy military boots stepped through the mist, and the poisonous miasma in front of him dissipated, revealing a group of cute yellow elves. They were less than calf height, like a group of bananas with hands and feet, holding hands and singing in a circle. The moment he saw them, a happy arc appeared on the corner of Qinglong's mouth. The elves of the source. It's you after all. Qinglong didn't rush to collect it, but turned his head to look to the right. At this moment, a beam of white light passed through the thick fog and came to his eyes. Qinglong did not dodge or evade, and casually swept his right hand from below. The white light passed through the broadsword, and was directly split in half from the middle. What a coincidence, someone else is coming too, Qinglong said with a smile. The fog surged, and a strange man in white combat uniform with a Tai Chi seal on his left chest slowly walked out. He showed a special power, and the right half of his body was shining white, and the right half of his body was shining brown. Two powerful forces enveloped his whole body. At this moment, he was ready to fight at any time. When he saw the Tai Chi seal, Qinglong already knew who was in front of him. There is only one alien from Silla who is qualified to come to Fog Valley. If I'm not mistaken, you should be the strongest person in Silla. Ingrad Kim Heechul. Silla has a sparse population, and it is not easy for a strong person to appear, so intelligence is also very easy to obtain. Kim Heechul stared at Qinglong cautiously, and the power condensed in his hands was close to materialization. Compared with Qinglong, he was obviously more cautious. Who are you? Qinglong smiled when he heard it. It doesn't matter who I am. You can't beat me. Get out of here quickly. Silla is just a lackey of the Columbia Navy. This country is small and weak and has always been a fence-sitter. For the East China Sea region, they can sometimes be a helper. More importantly, Qinglong now hopes to collect those source elves as soon as possible. If we fight with Kim Heechul, it is very likely to attract other enemies, which will be troublesome. But Kim Heechul obviously won't leave like this. He also saw those source spirits, and his eyes were shining. It has been nearly a week since we landed on the island. Almost everyone knows the existence of this thing. It is very widespread, and some people think it is part of the source of God. Some people also think it is a companion of the source of God. But in any case, its ability is gradually known by everyone. That is, it can enhance the power of aliens. Even for advanced Delta-level aliens, its effect is very obvious. The energy of a source spirit is comparable to that of a deputy captain-level alien with an ability index of 8,000 points. Silla is a weak country with scarce resources. Kim Heechul needs its power. Even though he knows that the Qinglong in front of him may be very powerful, he can't retreat here. Thinking of this, Kim Heechul raised his hands and made a fighting posture. Power of two gods, representing two different powers of superpowers, surged around his body. The one who should leave is you. Dear viewers, I hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe to get more updated videos. Thanks.